All right, so we'll do one more chat today.
Because I don't know if you're going to combine the other video together.
No, I won't. I
Okay.
won't. I'll kind of keep it separate. But yeah, it's a very nice day today, man.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had a really good practice. We cleaned up a lot of junk out of the system.
A lot of crap.
Yeah, and junk accumulates. That's how life is. Life brings junk with it, and you gotta keep cleaning it up. Otherwise, it'll keep adding. You block your own true nature by letting the muck of the mind, and it's all mental, right? All the whatever is there, it's all mental, like emotions and anger and jealousy and
Where we are.
disappointment and sadness. It's all in the mind, and we gotta let those things release.
Because when we are incarnated in your form right now, or in our forms, we have set challenges, unique challenges that we need to clear up.
Yeah.
And I think once you're aware of that, and we talk about that, the awareness of the whys and hows behind it, it becomes clearer, and then the Tai Chi practice becomes
More powerful.
right. But it seems like it's more. How do I put it? It's like designed for
What you're going through at that point,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, because I think it speaks to different people in different ways
Right.
based on their circumstances, right?
I mean, and the reason I brought it up is just there's the methodology of how to, whether it's yoga, tai chi, or different traditions, you follow the letter to the letter of the methods, but without understanding what the reasons behind it, then there's you're lost in terms of
Yeah. So
why you're doing such things,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I think that we talked about it in one of our previous chats also, right? So it's the thing is we have to understand not just the energetics, not just the physical movements, but we also have to understand the philosophy behind things.
So
Like-
for the layman, how do you explain that consciousnness? Do they? Of course, it's you don't have to acquire. We all have it, but the level of the access and understanding is there, like in your tradition, a method on how to get there?
Yeah, so I mean that's the entire Vedantic tradition is based on that, right? So you teach people. I mean, Vedanta is basically a way of pointing to that,
To that.
to how you strip away all the stuff that you're not, to realize what you are. The core of your being is that.
You mentioned last video of like the star, the distant star, and you said, "Oh, how do you?"
Yeah,
get
that's
to
that. We talked about that Arundhati. So it's called
Arundhati, yeah.
it's called Arundhati Darshan and Nyaya. So it's the way of seeing Arundhati. That's the example. So there's a pointing, right? So when we say things like nobody can teach us about our own awareness, like what our true nature is. You cannot grasp it. Like you, if you'd see this wallet, you say, okay, this is a wallet. That's an object, and you're seeing it. But awareness is not an object, right? Awareness is that which enables us to see, right? So, like
Shiva.
in the Dao De Jing, there's this thing, right? What gives you the power to smell, the power to taste, the power to hear, the power to see, the power to think? And Lao Tzu is calling it the Tao, right? In the Upanishads, there is one which is similar. It says, "Who is the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear, the tongue of the tongue, and the mind of the mind?" And we call it Brahman, or Atman, ourselves.
Like who's behind the seeing? Like when
What
we're looking at
enables,
it,
what gives you the
exactly.
power to do it?
Yeah,
So
right,
that is very important, and that we can never know by how we would know any other object in this universe.
Right.
Because that's not an object at all, right?
Right.
So the pointing will basically take you back in. So there's like almost literally like you're turning around Like if you think about it, like there's a light behind and it's shining through a screen where the screen turns around to see the light,
Yes, sir.
you know. So,
Do you remember we all have different experiences of that where uh, suddenly I was watching myself
mhm.
and then myself is watching me and
Mhm.
said, "Who is this
So
thing?"
yeah, so like when I was doing like first 4 or 5 years of doing Tai Chi,
Right.
I would go into a state where I'm observing everything that's
Right,
happening,
right.
right? And I was like, okay, if I am observing, who is doing,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Because I'm okay. So we start with, okay, so you're observing, you're moving up and down, you're moving through the forms, you're feeling the energies and everything, right? But then you start your mind also becomes apparent. Like you see, okay, all the stuff that's going on in your mind, thoughts are coming, thoughts are going, the blankness, the space between
Right.
thoughts, everything, and you're observing that too. So then I used to get very confused. It's like, who is it that is observing? If I'm doing,
Well-
if I'm thinking, then who's observing?
Right.
Because at that time I had the misconception that I am the body and the mind.
Right, right.
But then when I learned, Vedanta, it became clear that I'm neither the body nor the mind. So then it becomes clear that that which knows is the witness consciousness.
And that's something you've been learning from your grandfather already,
Yes.
right? And then
Yeah,
it's
but
all
I was too young. I
confirmed,
didn't
right.
understand all that, right? So
Well, first of all, there's the two-part series with my own experience. Number one is when I first started Tai Chi, I felt the awareness that somebody's watching. And I keep on leaning up, who's watching me? It's like somebody's there watching. And that goes on for a long time. Then after that, then it occurred to me that what I'm watching is me. And then later, I saw the one watching me, and then the watcher is looking at myself. It's like, what the? This is the weirdest thing. And it seems like it's not a conceptual thing. Could you actually?
it's
Like a out of the body experience where you're seeing yourself. Then when you mention that you can see the thoughts like objects almost, like streaming.
yeah. So there'll be like a stream of, like, think about a clear flowing river, and the thoughts are like debris on the river.
Yeah.
So your awareness is like that clean river, and the thoughts are like, or think about it like maybe waves or bubbles rising. And so when I used to do this yoga, right, the Tamil yoga,
Tamil yoga?
the Siddha yoga. You remember I was doing it for a couple of years. I did 2 or 3 years. There's this yogi from India who had come, and he
The one that came in here?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I would do is after doing my practice, and it was not, they call it yoga. It's not like what yoga people do yoga. That's not it. It's not the Western yoga. It's the real deal, right? And then you lie down in the corpse pose, and then you slowly let your whole body melt, like till you don't feel your body anymore. You're just awareness. And then I feel like this mind would become very clear. You can see everything that's happening. Thoughts come. There's initially like this rush of thoughts. Like
And that didn't happen in one process or one time, right?
it
Or
takes
over
more
time.
time, but then
Over
finally
time.
the culmination of it
Right.
was like this. Like, when you become aware of your mind, it's like you've opened a cage full of birds and the birds are rushing out. So it's like a flock of birds. Suddenly you startle birds that are sitting on a tree, and
Wow,
they explode out, right? So the thoughts are like that.
I like that because the awareness is not just singular thing, which is
Awareness is awareness.
Right,
The
right.
thoughts are many,
Right,
right,
right.
So the thoughts come out, and then after a while they fly away, right? Then you start seeing that it's like a river, like it's a
Right.
river of light. You think about it, okay? And then you have like this chunk floating, and you can see that the thoughts are only on the surface. The river is clear,
Right.
So you are that river, and the thoughts are just on the surface of your awareness.
And that's the thing, we identify in the beginning, we identified that thoughts for the body is us.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So, like, even none of our thoughts are our own, actually.
Right, right.
Where do you know where thoughts come from? Guess.
I think
Thoughts.
in my own experience, that I realized later, right, that the thoughts are intertwined with your karma and your existence in here. And the reason
Yes.
why you're going through that is because you have to access that and go through that process. But then you realize, first you identify, oh, this is me. Then you realize that, wait a minute, it's, I don't own this, and it's not coming from me.
Yeah, so the thoughts are actually there. What they call the collective subconscious, right? So, in the Vedantic tradition, Brahman is that non-dual everything, right? But there is a, obviously we are seeing this manifestation, so there is a dualistic manifestation of all this. So in that, corresponding, like how we have the three states of being, where you have waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and then you have the fourth, which is called Turiya, right, which is your true nature. So you have waking world, waker and the waking world, the dreamer and the dream world, the deep sleeper and the blankness of deep sleep, and then awareness, which is non-dual, right? In the same way, Brahman, so that is at the individual level, you are the dreamer, dreaming, like waker, dreamer, sleeper, right?
Is that what, on the side, is that what represents the three lines on the Shiva thing on the forehead? The three states?
Yes.
Or the three?
Yes.
That's what it is,
Yes.
right?
And then there's a
And
dot
then
in
there's
the
a
middle.
dot in the
Yeah,
middle.
yeah. So, similarly, because there is this creation, there is a creator, which is Brahman's manifest existence, which people call God, or so in the Vedantic tradition, it's called Saguna Brahman, or Brahman with attributes. And we also call it Ishvara. Ishvara means the creator, or the master of all. So there are, just corresponding to waking, dreaming, deep sleep, there's also the three attributes of Brahman, other than Brahman, which is the waking world, okay, the universe. Universe is called Virat, is the vast, okay, and then there is, corresponding to the dream, there is something called the Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha means the golden womb, okay, and that is where all the thoughts in the whole universe exist. They are basically, like objects, subtle objects that exist. They're patterns that are repeating themselves over and over again. So you said, like, your karma and your thoughts are intertwined, right?
Right.
So based on your karma, you're pulling certain thoughts.
That's exactly what
So
I'm
it's,
saying.
think about it like think about like radio, right? The signal is there, out there. You got an antenna and a tuner, and you're capturing the signal based on which channel you tune to, right? So your karma decides which is your channel. Or it could be like, like if you expose yourself to certain types of things, then you will start pulling that kind of thought. Like
See,
if you-
that occurred to me not because of conception, but it's just being revealed. That awareness, that intertwining of your purpose for this incarnation, in your form, your consciousness, and the reason it occurred to me that why do I have these? I'm not saying that I'm special, but why am I going through these and you're not, or the other guy is not? And why is he going through this and I'm not?
right?
So it's
our
something
karma.
specific.
It's the karma,
Right.
So we are, and the karma has also got like the three types of karma, right? So the karma that is accrued, the karma that is activated, and the karma that is yet to come, or you're building. So the karma that is accrued is what over lifetimes we have accrued. But then in this particular existence, we have created one. So in this existence, we have created, in our life, there are certain portion of the karma is activated. So that's why everything that happens in this life is based on that. And then you go into the other side, which is basically whatever actions you take now, you're accruing those karmas, and you're sending out.
So having said that, when Siddhartha had that realization of all his existences, from the smallest atom, bacteria to different forms, in that particular state, what do you call that oneness of consciousness that he had? When he had that,
That's
suddenly
just,
he saw that
just awareness. That's it.
awareness,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
non-dual, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he saw that and he says, "Oh, it's nothing special,"
Yeah.
but he was aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
My question now is that, was he able to discern also that each individual Buddha in all of us? He saw each of our.
So it's very simple, right? So when you realize your true nature, you realize everybody else is the same.
Right.
So that's why he says that everyone is a Buddha. Pratyeka Buddha, they say, right? So everyone is a Buddha in potentiality. Because once you release, you clear the veil, then you realize that everything is the whole, basically is one,
Right.
right? So that's the thing.
Although one is not here right now.
Yeah, I wonder where one is, man.
So, I was telling Mikey, your access and awareness is equal to your, that's a redundant thing. Your access and your awareness is equal to your scope of, if you had your fill for that moment, does that mean your incarnation is realized already? For that,
I don't understand what you're saying.
let's say,
So, like, you're
Person-
talking about your karma, right?
right,
So
person A,
So let's say that your whatever is been set in motion
Right.
is completed. You're going to die.
that's what I had
Right.
the thought of, like, why there's no more left to
There's no more
realize.
left in this life.
Exactly.
So so that in a way that's also a reason for our existence. If you think about it that way, it's like
Right,
your
right,
karma
right.
is giving your existence in this form, this body,
Yes.
mind.
I realized that too. It occurred to me
Yeah.
that
But with what we do in the spiritual practices, we are basically, we don't want to acquire any more.
right.
When you realize your true nature, then you stop acquiring karma.
Okay, having said that when you realize that, I also, it occurred to me that your next incarnation, whatever that is, you begin to set that in motion as if you're living the next incarnation in this level.
So after realization,
You know, let's say this form right now, right? And I'm living this karma. And it feels like you realize this. And then now that you're ready for the next one, and probably you're setting the motion for the next one. And
yeah, so that's how causality works, right? But the thing is, with our practice, we want to break that chain because you don't want to keep coming.
right,
Like it's
right.
okay.
More progressive.
For the sake of this particular chat, we'll say that we want to break the cycle of causality.
Right.
You don't want to come back because most of, like, if you think about life is primarily suffering, right? It's pain with little bit of pleasures and joys interspersed for normal people. So whether they have experienced it or not experienced it yet, sooner or later it's going to come. Why? Because when you're young, okay, so most well-to-do households, people are comfortable in their lives, and they might be comfortable till they get married, and then they might have problems with their spouses, problems with their children, and then they grow older, your body starts failing, they start getting diseases, then they have this sense of, mortality, where they say, oh, this is all ephemeral, it's going to disappear, I'm going to die, and there'll be the fear of death. And all of that is basically adding to your suffering. So you want to break that cycle not by necessarily not coming back, but by realizing what you truly are is immortal. You have always been there, you're always going to be there, and you're everywhere. Because you're not in time, you're not in space, you're outside time and space. Time and space exists in you. You, the awareness, right? So
that reminded me in some of the stories that we've read of whether Vishnu or Lord Shiva, when they, it's like, I forgot which incarnation of Vishnu, and he was cursed. And he said, okay, I'll take it. And then he incarnated into a form, and he had to go through it.
Yes.
But if you look at it, he didn't have to, but he said, okay, I'll take that curse. Or then he incarnated
right.
to have another realization.
Right.
Do you think that we do that, and then we realize and say, okay, what's next? And then you begin to say, okay, accept it. You accept all the struggles. You offer it. Says it's gone now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it, right? So all our experiences, we should offer as, it's not ours.
Yeah.
It's a gift, even the pain all of that. I mean, if we can live like that, then life will be beautiful, right? So, like a person who's completely free is like that, liberated while living. They're like that.
We tackled a lot of things already.
Yeah, I think we'll cut the chat short right now.
Okay. You've taught me a lot of things in terms of the terms that I didn't know existed. But it occurs to me, I just didn't know the names.
Call me Wikipedia, man.
So I thank you for that, making me realize that there is such thing, because you don't identify that there is a thing exists.
Of course, and I mean,
Right.
I'm just the instrument, right?
But it's there. You realize it. I just didn't know there was that.
Or as they say, I'm a tool.
We're all just looking at each other.
It's like Lord Arjuna.
Right.
Lord Krishna and Arjuna
Okay.
having a conversation.
Let's wrap up, huh?
All right.